Panning basics. So panning, if you're not already familiar with it, is really putting elements of a mix to the left or the right or the center in the mix. Now, the way this is done, now a lot of people get confused with how stereo works in audio and stereo tracks and stereo output and everything like that. You've got a couple basic things happening. So you've got stereo tracks. So if we go over to the overheads, it's a great example of stereo tracks. So if we hit play, we notice that we've got two different meters going on here. And if we look in our edit window, we see that we have, within this track, there's two different waveforms occurring. And so this was a stereo recording of the drums. So basically there were two mics that were placed overhead of the drum kit, and these two mics, because they're not right next to each other or pointing in different directions, are picking up different sounds of the kit. And so what you're doing, you're recreating the drum kit by producing the left and right sound of the kit with these two different mics, similar to how we have two different ears on our heads so that we can hear when things are coming from the left or the right. Okay, and so that's a stereo track going out of stereo output. So it's really straightforward. We've got our left microphone going to our left speaker and our right microphone going to our right speaker. So when we listen to it, we notice that it sounds like you can hear that that cymbal is hitting more to the left side and the hi-hat is hitting more to the right side. And that's just naturally occurring, that panning, based on these two microphones kind of recreating the psychoacoustics that our brain detects naturally in a space to tell if something's coming from the left or the right. Okay, and there's a couple ways to learn that our brain figures it out, which are explained in some of the other tutorials, including the audio recording production tutorial. So those are stereo tracks, and unless we record something with two microphones, we are not going to have a stereo track. We're going to have a mono track. And this is where a lot of confusion happens, where people think, well, I want my elements to be in stereo, and so I've got to have two tracks. I've got to record it to a stereo track. But if you have something that is just a single element, then it most likely will be recorded in mono, and then it will become stereo in this way. So the lead vocal, for example, if we take a look at that, we'll notice that there is just one waveform there, and we hit play. Jesus! Okay, so it's just one person singing into one mic. You'll notice that it sounds like it's straight up the middle, and that's because it is. So what we've done is we've taken a mono source, and in order to make it sound like it's straight up the middle, we have sent an equal amount to both the left speaker and the right speaker. So if you want to test this, all you have to do is play this track like this. Jesus! And listen to her over and over again with one speaker or the other. Put your ear right next to the speaker, or take one side of your headphones off and listen, and you'll notice that she is equivalent in the left side and the right side. So when you put both speakers on, or you put both headphones on, you'll notice that she appears to be right down the middle, which is called a phantom center. So because you have an equivalent amount coming to both ears at the same time, it creates this phantom image in the middle. So it makes it seem like she's right in the center. Even though there's no speaker there, it seems as if she's coming right from the middle, but she's actually coming equally from both sides. Okay? And so what we can do with that is we can adjust with our panner here how much signal is going to the left or the right. And so what happens is, as we move slightly to the left, what's happening is we're sending more and more signal to the left speaker and less to the right. And until we get to the point where we're completely to the left, and now there's only signal in our left speaker and none in the right. And then when we go completely to the right, it's the opposite. So the way to demonstrate that is we're going to move our track just for a minute right next to the master fader. And if we take and put her back in the middle. Watch what happens to the master fader here. As we move her over, notice how there's more and more left. And now she's all the way to the left. See that? We've got signal on the left, but none on the right. And now, as we move to the other side, the same thing will occur till we get all the way to the right. And there's no signal coming out the left. Now, of course, you can test this as well, just like you tested the middle when it was in the center, by listening to each speaker individually or each headphone individually. And if you listen right now, you'll notice that there is no signal on the left and all signal on the right, and now vice versa. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to utilize this to place elements in different spots in the mix. So if you don't have a stereo track to start with, then you need to use the panning to adjust where things occur. So in the overheads, the hi-hat automatically sounds like it's coming from the right, and the cymbal sounds like it's coming from the left, just based on that stereo recording. But if you had just one mic on the hi-hat, which we do also, we're going to want to pan it to the right so to make it sound like that single element is coming from that same side. So that's kind of how we're going to be adjusting our panning, and that's some of our panning basics.